So Lakers pulled out another big win yesterday. It was a tight one. It was dramatic and extremely stressful. I probably lost a couple years off of my life on that game, but nonetheless, got the win, and now we've extended it to a 5-game winning streak, which is amazing for the Lakers. And now we are actually tied for a play-in spot with the Minnesota Timberwolves and the Utah Jazz. We are one game away from the 7th seed. We're a game and a half away from the 6th seed, which means we wouldn't even have to be in the play-in. But our upcoming schedule gets a lot tougher, right? We have the Denver Nuggets, and then we have Dallas, Philly, and then Houston, which that is a game that I believe we should win on the 16th. And I do imagine that probably somewhere in the, hopefully at least, somewhere in the Dallas to the Sacramento game, which would be January 18th. Hopefully somewhere in that ballpark is when Anthony Davis will return. And once Anthony Davis returns, hopefully we could be off to the races and fighting for a playoff spot, right? Now, in the next 4 games that we got, Denver, Dallas, Philly, and then Houston, I really think we need to go at least 2-2, preferably 3-1. It'd be nice if maybe we could get like the Denver or Dallas game, and then maybe like the Philly game, and then Houston. I do think we beat one of Philly and Dallas, just because we're at home both of those games. I think Denver is kind of a coin flip, just because the Lakers always kind of seem to have Denver's number, right? And I mean, we've already beaten them twice. In the last game that we played them was the game that AD got hurt, and we were able to pull that out. So Dallas, or the Denver game, I'll give it a coin flip. Dallas or Philly, I think we win one of those 2 games. My comfortable logic is like Dallas is probably the game we win, and then Philly, I think, is a little tough, but we'll see how that goes. And then Houston, we should win on the road, and then that would be a good home stretch, right? Because we have, after the Denver game, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 straight games at home with Memphis, Sacramento, Houston, Philly, and Dallas. We got to go 4-1 during that stretch, in my opinion, or at least 3-2 at the very worst. And then that gets us to basically a playoff spot, I would imagine. And then Anthony Davis returns and we're off to the races. But in general, guys have really been stepping up, which is nice. And in my opinion, these 4 guys, I think, are locked at the starting lineup, even when AD comes back, right? I think Thomas Bryant has played so well, it's hard to not start him. It really is. I mean, Anthony Davis and Thomas Bryant, I think, can play together. Thomas Bryant has been money in the mid-range. His mid-range has been just real nice, real clean, real crisp. You can almost play him at the 4 on offense, maybe, and have him operate in the mid game. My only concern with taking AD away from the 5, at least on the offensive end, is just primarily his just dominance and his lack of shooting. He still hasn't been great shooting the basketball, and if you're going to pull him away from the basket, that becomes a problem. And we need dominant monster Anthony Davis. Dennis Schroeder has been fantastic, to say the least. He deserves the starting spot. Defensively, offensively, he's been very, very solid for us. So he deserves the starting spot. Do you have LeBron play the 3, which is the question, and then have AD play the 4 and Bryant play the 5? I think it's worth at least a look, right? I think it's at least worth an attempt. Maybe you don't start that, maybe you start it a different way. Maybe you go LeBron at the 4, Davis at the 5, and then, Schroeder and whomever, you go that kind of route to start. And then Thomas Bryant, Anthony Davis, LeBron James, Dennis Schroeder, you have that set kind of playing at times, maybe even run it with Russ, maybe even run it with, like Austin Reeves, Walker, whomever, right? And kind of experiment. But I would like to definitely see Thomas Bryant and Anthony Davis on the court more together. I really think Thomas Bryant has earned the rotation minutes of playing. I think he should at least be playing 20 minutes a game, at least. And I think even if you don't start him, you can kind of have him play in sparing minutes, play independently, play next to Wenyen Gabriel, play next to Anthony Davis. And I really like our three big rotation of Bryant, Davis, and Wenyen. I do. I think that that's a really nice lineup. The other sort of argument, I guess, is that like if you start Bryant and Davis, then that means you're kind of going small off the bench with Wenyen like we are right now, which it would be nice to kind of have that big man coming in and having Thomas Bryant right off the start. I also think it depends on certain matchups and, of course, the regular season. Your goal is to try to keep AD as healthy as possible, right? You can always play AD at the 5 during the playoffs if you need to, and that's going to be the big thing. But I do think as soon as AD comes back, I think this team is off to the races. I really do. I think this team has a real opportunity to make a real strong push here. And look, the West is so wide open, it's insane. I mean, seriously, you're talking from the 12th to the 6th seed. I mean, the 12th to the 5 seed is only separated by 2 games. Literally 2 games separate the 12 and the 5 seeds. That's about as tight as it gets. And then you got a little separation from the 4 to the 1 seed. But I mean, even like the 4 seed, the Lakers are only 4 games out of that. Like they could catch that. You go on a nice little solid run or 2, all of a sudden you're there, right? And so like that's huge if you're the Lakers. You're feeling very good. You're feeling very confident. You've done this without Anthony Davis. You've done this even without LeBron James for a game, right? So, I mean, this is just huge to see our rotation guys really stepping up. It's building confidence. It's building chemistry. Guys are playing for each other. Guys are believing. Darvin Ham has these guys playing like real just basketball players and real like a real team. Defensively, I'd like to see it pick up a little more, but you're going to have some bad with the good. Defense has been non-existent all season for everybody, right? Like it hasn't been very good for any teams this year. The amount of scoring this season is just mind-boggling. Nobody can stop anybody. It's just kind of like, who gets that final stop or 2 down the stretch, right? That's basically what it boils down to, or which team is hotter. It is kind of how it is. And I do think and like the position the Lakers are in. Now, that doesn't mean that they don't need a trade. I do think that they need some type of trade, some type of movement, preferably a piece or 2. I still think you trade Patrick Beverley. I still think you trade Kendrick Nunn. Maybe you throw in a Lonnie Walker to entice a team, Damian Jones, guys. Like basically take the guys that are the scraps, and then if you need to, like a Lonnie Walker, who has been great for us, but I don't think we're going to be able to keep him. You do what you can to go get a piece or 2, whether that's Bojan Bogdanovic, maybe some other shooter, Buddy Hield or something like that. If the Indiana Pacers are going to start blowing stuff up, I'm not really big on Miles Turner. I don't really think the Lakers need Miles Turner right now, especially with the way that Thomas Bryant has been playing. He has been playing so well, but I do think the Lakers need a solid move or 2, preferably for like starting level guys. Like if you could go get like Bojan, that would be nice, right? Like you could have LeBron play the point position or guard the point position if you need, have him in certain matchups, whatever, and just go big, go size, or have him play the 4. You could have, look at it like this. You could have your front court of like Bojan, LeBron, and AD. Like that's a pretty good front court, right? And then Bojan would also just add just so much floor spacing for the Lakers as well. But there could be other options as well on the horizon. Like Toronto, what is Toronto going to do? They're probably losing Gary Trent Jr. and Fred VanVleet. So do they decide to unload them and trade them? Do they end up just saying, hey, like we'll unload these guys, let's move them, and then maybe the Lakers could get those guys, and now you get some shooting. Yeah, it's not the size that Bojan is, which I would rather have. I'd rather have the size, but if you can kind of upgrade certain positions, certain spots, I'm not against it. The Lakers really need shooting. We've been shooting great the last few games, but does anyone believe the Lakers are going to continue to shoot, 46% from 3 over the next, rest of the season? I don't think so. No, I've said also, like in the beginning when we had a bad start, that we're better than 25. We're not going to shoot 25% all season. And just like that, I'm saying we're not going to shoot 46% all season. I think this team is, an average 3-point shooting team. I think we got several guys that can shoot pretty decently, but we definitely need some like dead eye shooters. We need a dead eye shooter or two. And I think Bojan could be that guy. I also think we need some size out on the perimeter. I think that's still a real problem for us, even in the Sacramento game. All right, like we couldn't stop anybody, and part of that with Sacramento was just shooting the lights out too. They shot great, we shot great. We just ended up getting the key stop or two down the stretch that ended up winning us the game. But in general, it'd be nice to have a couple guys, some sizable players, and I just really think we need like a starting level talent or two, because then that allows guys like Austin Reeves, and if we keep Lonnie Walker and guys like that to now go from being in the starting unit and having to play these bigger roles to being in a more comfortable position as in a bench role, which just also bolsters our bench, especially with the way Russ has been playing and the way he's been playing playmaker. I mean, imagine a bench five of like Russ, Lonnie, Reeves, Brown, and Gabriel, or Gabriel and Bryant, or whatever. Like that to me is that's I'll take that over most benches in the league. There's not very many benches that could do better than that. You got 3 guys in the bench lineup that could all go for 20 night in and night out, and Russ, Walker, and Reeves. It's pretty good, but you need to go get another starting level player or two in order to do so. So that's something else as well. But I know some people think like, oh, like the Lakers are good, like, they stand pat. And look, if the Lakers don't do anything, like if they are the team that they are, then like, I still stand by, I trust this team if we get to the playoffs. Get LeBron James, Anthony Davis, and Russell Westbrook into the playoffs, and I trust them to make some noise. I don't think we're a contender, but I mean, which team in the West is that good? I mean, everyone just kind of falls back in line to like the usual suspects, the Warriors, a team like that. But I who knows how they're going to be this year? They're struggling really bad this year. They're the 9th seed, but Phoenix is a sinking ship. The Kings are too young. The Grizzlies, I think, are too young. The Pelicans, I think, are too young. I don't think they're coming out of the West. Denver has a nice team, but I don't think that they're unbeatable. They're not very good defensively. They don't really have a lot of presence inside. So I wouldn't be shocked that they lose. The Clippers, I don't trust the Clippers until the Clippers prove otherwise. They're on a 5-game losing streak. They're really struggling lately. And for whatever reason, Kawhi Leonard and Paul George don't really seem like they want to be there anymore. So again, I'm not worried about any of these teams. Portland, I don't really believe in. The Warriors are still the Warriors, and come playoff time, maybe they are still the Warriors. But I like where the Lakers are at, and I really think Rob needs to sort of look at this and evaluate and just say like, okay, like I need to do something. We need to make a move here. We need to make something happen, because I think you're in such a good position. This team has proven that they're capable. This team has shown that they are good enough and that they can compete with anybody. And I just think that I don't know how, if you're Rob Pelinka, you can look at this and go, nah, let's just stay pat. I think you need to push the chips to the table, because I think you have a good enough team here to compete and potentially come out of the West. And I like, in my opinion, I'm more worried about running into the Celtics or the Bucks than I am any team in the West. I really am. Like, I'm not really worried about any teams in the West, but the Celtics or the Bucks, I think, could be a problem. In my opinion, that's what the trade's for. The trade's for the Celtics or the Bucks. I think you have enough to beat currently pretty much any team in the Western Conference, at least in my opinion. But I still worry about the Celtics. I still worry about the Bucks, and you need to win that, especially if you play the Celtics. You cannot lose to the Celtics for number 18. You cannot. It just can't happen. If you're the Lakers, you do whatever you can to make sure that doesn't happen. But what a story that would be. But anyway, as always, this is a discussion, so I pass the question on to you. Let me know your thoughts and opinions down in the comments below. What do you think? Do you agree? Do you disagree? What do you think of the Lakers' impressive run? Do you think we get into the playoffs? And look, one last little kind of closing thing for those that made it this far. I've gotten so many comments of people that were like, "Oh, the season is over. The season's done. Time to pack it up and all that stuff." And now look, a 5-game winning streak, and the Lakers are in the playoffs, or right there. They're tied for a play-in spot, and they're a game out of a playoff spot. It's a long season, people. It's a long, long season. But anyway, again, love to hear your thoughts and opinions down in the